Okay, so in this video we are going to learn how we can debug a Mule application if we get some error, or if we would like to debug a Mule application into the debug mode. So there is a default debug mode available in Endpoint Studio. Till now what we were doing is we were just starting this server using run as property from the my from the right clicking of my first Mule application. We were going to run as Mule application, and it was running in console into the inbuilt enterprise engine available in Anypoint Studio. Now the same application we would like to debug. Let me just rename these flows so that we do not get confused. So this is API 1, application 1 in our terms, and the flow of the second flow named as application 2. Now for example, if we are getting some error at logger stage and we would like to debug this application, what we will do is, so every debug application has some kind of a breakpoints. In the Mule 4 we termed them as toggle breakpoint. So we would like to right click on a particular component where we would like to debug and set it as a toggle breakpoint. In the same way, we will try to set up a breakpoint in application 2 in the set payload component. Now if we run this application as run as Mule application, then these breakpoints which we have put here will not have any impact. I'm running it just to show you that if we are putting a toggle breakpoint and running an application, running a Mule application, then it is not going to impact anything in the application. Then we will see how we can run an application into a debug mode and how we can check what all values are there in that particular component while we are debugging the application. So add it has been deployed. Now we will go back to our Postman collection. We'll click on application 1, click on send, and we will receive the response without any problems using these toggle breakpoints. So these breakpoints are only valid in the debug mode. Okay, so now what we will do is we will stop this server first of all, so that it does not create any mess like the port already used on or something like that. And we will right click on the application, and now we do not choose the run as, we will choose the debug as, and we'll select the Mule application. Now if we click Mule application, debug as Mule application, what the Anypoint Studio will do is it will open up a debug mode. So let us just see when it will open the debug mode window. Right now the server is running and trying to deploy the application into the runtime environment. Oh yes, so now it is asking for this Mule debug perspective designed to support Mule application debugging. It incorporates views for displaying the current Mule messages and for the breakpoint management. The breakpoint which we have put on the logger component and the set payload component in application 2. Now do you want to open this perspective now? Yes, we would like to open the debug perspective. So we would click on yes. And suddenly the Anypoint Studio UI will get changed for us so that we can see everything at one screen. Here it is a Mule debugger which will show us all the Mule messages once we try to access any API from this application. These are our Mule breakpoints. We have put two breakpoints here. One is at my Mule application 1 dot logger, and the second one is for set payload, right? So these are our breakpoint which are showing which MuleSoft Anypoint Studio is showing into this window, and our regular console which is showing that the application has been deployed. We can check this right now right away. So what we will do is we will go to the Postman and try to access the application 1 once again. Now if we click on send, then it should stop our execution at logger, because we have put a breakpoint here. I'll set a breakpoint once again so that it will remember, and click on send. There is something wrong which we need to check, why we are getting the output in the right manner. We are in debug mode. Okay, so now we are trying to access the application one, and as we can see that it is not stopping as the toggle breakpoint. Why it is happening? Because the logger component which we are using here is it does not care about the debugging, because it does not add any value to the debugging component. So what we will do is we will add a new component here and try to put the toggle breakpoint on that component so that we can see whether our breakpoints works in the debug mode or not. So let's open the perspective of Mule design once again so that we'll get into our basic UI. We will stop this server so that we can do some deployment, and then what we will do is we will add a variable here which is set variable, or any other component whatever we like except the logger one. So select the variable, the name of the variable is name, and we will try to set up MuleSoft inside this name, and we'll try to put the toggle breakpoint on the set variable part. In the second API also we will add a new set variable component and try to see it as custom name. The name of the variable is custom name, and we are storing MuleSoft here also, because we do not need to use these variables. We are just trying to see whether our breakpoints are working in debug mode or not. Now what we will do is we will go back to our application, right click on the application, go to debug as Mule application. It will take few seconds to get the application loaded and running the server. In between it will ask for debug mode. Okay, so it is asking whether it can open the debug perspective or not. We will allow it to open the debug perspective. Yeah, so our application is deployed in the debug mode. Now we will go to the Postman, go to the application one, click on send. So as we can see, there is no response coming in because the control is stucking at set variable, just so that we can debug our application. So as we can see, there is no payload here in the Mule debugger. We can see all the variables. So we are setting a variable with the value MuleSoft and variable name as name. There are few attributes with this HTTP request. The listener path is application 1, as we are setting it from here from the API call. This is a method get, as we are setting it from the Postman as get method. There are no query parameters, that is why the size of the query parameters are 0. There is a request URI, there is a request scheme, there is a request path, and everything is available in the Mule debugger. We can check and take the necessary action as per our choice. So whatever variable we are creating, those variable will be the part of vars here. That is why we were using vars dot variable name in our previous tutorials. So let us try to see the next processor. If we click it here, it will go to the set payload, and vars will have a variable named as name is equal to MuleSoft. We can have this used this variable. We can use this variable wherever we would like to use in our flow. Also we can check using this expression evaluator. Click on this expression evaluator, click on vars dot type vars dot name, and we can see that vars dot name has MuleSoft inside it. So this is how we debug our Mule applications. Now we will click on resume and it will complete our flow and we will get the output as I am an engineer. That is what we were getting earlier. So this is how we debug the Mule applications. Also in the second application we can use the same thing. What we can do is we would go to the application 2, click on send, come back, we'll see the variable here. There is no variable as such. Go to next. It will create a new variable named as custom name. Since this set variable component has variable name as custom name and it is storing MuleSoft as a variable. Now click on expression evaluator. You can check anything here. Custom name was.custom name. You can see that it has been set as MuleSoft and you are setting a payload here. Also from the expression evaluator you can check anything like the payload. If you click on payload, since the payload is blank, that is why it is not showing anything. And we can also check the attributes here. Attributes dot maybe header, some kind of a header. We would like to see what was the host name. So right click, copy expression, go to the expression evaluator, try to paste it here. It will show as attributes.headers.host. If you click here, you will get localhost colon 8081 as we are using in our API. So in this way we can use our attributes. We can check the variable names, the variable values in the debug mode and try to see how we can debug that application and try to rectify all the errors of that application. Now to complete this flow, we will click here and it will show the output as I am a doctor at the postman output window. So this is all about in the debugging of the Mule application. Now I'll go back to the running mode of the application and try to stop the server. Now one thing in the debug mode is sometimes if we use caches or if we are storing the values locally, then we might need to clear the application variables or application context before we are going into the debug mode. So for that matter, we would like to right click here, go to debug as and click on Mule application configure. Now when we are in the configuration, what we can do is we can click this always clear application data always and then start debugging it. So this will ensure that the previously stored application data is cleared and you are working on the newly created application. There are other options as well, like the clustering, like the API kit settings, like Maven command line arguments, where you can actually put your input commands to this program. Or there is a Mule debugger here. You can see the properties, how the debugger is connected. So debugger is connected on port 6666, but your application is using the port 8081 or as you defined in the configuration YAML file. There are program arguments. You can send as many arguments as you want from here. There's a JRE inbuilt. You can change your JRE from here. If you would like to work on Java 9 or Java 10, you can change it from here. There is an environment variable also. You can set the environment like the dev environment, the production environment and the staging environment, something like that. And you can use all these parameters using the debug mode. But all these information are the out of scope of this particular tutorial. We will discuss about it later. Right now we have completed our video where we have shown you how we can put a toggle breakpoints in between the APIs and then use those toggle breakpoints to check whether our app is working right or not, and then try to take the decisions as per the Mule variables information. So thanks for watching this video.